All of your forms can be found at mishawalox.org/forms. So if you're needing a form, you're needing an updated form, that's where you want to go. That's going to have that website is ridiculously important for everybody in the auxiliary. I always say if you're taking a college class, this website is your textbook. So you want to get in there. It's going to have your department officers. It's going to have your district level representatives listed. It's going to have straight contact information for them. It's going to have your forms that you can update. Mishawalox.org for Michigan American Legion Auxiliary.org is going to be a huge resource for everybody. So check that out. Get a chance to go through that when you can. All right, everybody back in, ready to go?
Yes,
We're jumping into the member data form, which it is your most detailed form of all of them. Now, the first thing to let everybody know is with the member data form, it is only one form per person. So you are only addressing one person on a member data form. Sometimes we'll get a member data form that has 4 different people on it. At the top, and I think where the confusion comes in is at the top of the form, there's date, member ID number, and then your unit number. So let me get into that in a little bit. The uses for the member data form and why there's so many different sections and why you have to do one person per form. You can do a lot of different things with this form. You can report a member as deceased, which is going to be that second section. You can change a member's information. We're working with this form, by the way, friends at home. Member data. You can change the member's information. So let's say somebody moves, but they're staying in their unit, but they want their new address updated so they can keep receiving mail and stuff like that. That's going to happen there in that second section. The third section is your unit transfers. The unit transfers section is going to have a lot of stuff, and we're going to go into detail each section here later. And then finally, the other things you can do with this member data form is you can change your marital status in there. You can change if someone is a PUFL or an honorary life member. You can change a junior to a senior with this form. You can rejoin this form, so you can put the rejoin on this instead of the membership app if you want to. And then you can you can cancel membership on here. You can correct information. If someone was marked as deceased and they shouldn't have been, like, you can go back and use this form to correct that. And then if you don't want to receive any mail or anything, you can use this form for that as well. Again, a very detailed form with a lot you can do on it. So it's very important to just keep it one form per person. Go ahead and go next slide. All right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what each thing does. So changing a member's status. So their marital status. So that's going to start here. We're going to start at the member change part. All right. So before we get into this stuff, I do want to go over the different sections. We talked about what things you can do and everything. The deceased. So we're going to start at the very top, the deceased person. So if a person is deceased, you're going to put their member name here and then their deceased date, the date that they passed, not the date you're submitting it. So the date that they passed. So you'd put the date, their member number, your unit number, their name, and the deceased date. That's all you have to do for the deceased section. Okay. That next section, the corrections, you're going to want to write. So if it's a former name or new name, right, you're going to want to fill out the sections of like a former address and the new address. You're going to want to fill all these different parts out so that we can then transfer that information over properly. Again, if you don't have a new telephone number, you don't need to put that in there. If you don't have a new email address, you don't need to put that in there. If you didn't change your name, you don't need to do that, but it gives you the option to do all of those. The third section is going to be your unit transfers. If you're looking at your transmittal, at your member data form, is your unit transfers. Those are to be initiated by the unit you're transferring to, not transferring from. So up in the corner, date, member number, unit number, it's the unit that they're going to be coming to. Okay. Under there, you're going to put their name, address, city, state, zip, and phone, the previous unit and previous department. Because if you put unit 10 and you don't put a department, we don't know if it's Florida, Michigan. We're going to assume it's Michigan. But again, because we're keeping these documents for a century, we want it to be correct. So put your department in there. If it's Michigan to Michigan, that's fine. If it's Florida to Michigan, if it's anywhere else, that's where you'll put that in there. The unit number, the new unit number is the unit that you're bringing them into. So if they're bringing them into your unit, you're going to put that there. And as you can see, we've already filled in the department is Michigan. Here, again, 2 more signature sections, 2 more required signatures. Always remember, if it says signature and you don't fill out the signature, assume you're going to see that piece of paper. So the member signature is here and their phone number. And then you have the signature of the new unit officer, not a new unit officer, but the new units officer. And that is required there. If either of those signatures aren't there, back it goes. This next section, did the previous unit collect and submit current dues for this member? Yes or no? Okay. If they did, you do not have to add a payment for them. If they didn't, they do not get processed through. You can transfer someone without paying their dues and putting them through. But if you don't, if they already paid their previous unit and you send in a payment for them, the whole transmittal has to come back because you sent us too much money. And then finally, we have the member change statuses, which I kind of want to go through in some detail here. Go ahead and go to that next slide there, Mark. Thanks, sir. All right. So in this member status changes part, and you'll see for a lot of you who've had Alamus, you'll see where it says changes, like you can change status. That's where that part is. You're going to put the member's name, and then you'll put a marital status. Are they married, single, or widowed? The next part you'll have is this member now a paid up for life member or honorary? Again, you can do this if it's all the same member and you need to change their address, transfer them, and update stuff. You can all do it, but if it's more than one person, that's why you need those additional forms. The member, okay, you can change if a member should be marked as a junior member, not a senior member. So remember how earlier in the membership application I talked about it's very important to have the birth date? This is a legitimate thing that happened to us. We had somebody send in a transmittal with a junior on the transmittal list, okay? Between them mailing it in and us receiving it here in department, that junior had a birthday. Okay? Because Alamus is a computer, the Alamus ALA-MIS system, sorry, I keep saying Alamus, it's ALA-MIS, and we'll get into why it's that in a little bit. But with the juniors, so we had the junior, they sent it in, the junior had a birth date while it was in transit. So when it got to me and I go to enter it into ALA-MIS, it's now senior. It's senior that they owe senior money for. So now the check is off. So now the entire transmittal has to be returned because everything, and it's when it left their hands, it was correct. But that's why we're dealing with a computer system that will tell you no. And so that's where if you have somebody, and a lot of these are going to be on stuff, I'll be honest, I haven't seen a lot of this recently and we're addressing it, but stuff from the past definitely is going to be one of those where you're going to want to look at those junior members to senior members. A section where the member needs to be rejoined into our unit. You can rejoin via that way as well. If you're looking at, again, that list at the bottom, the member has requested in writing that they wish to cancel their membership. We need a copy of the writing. Because we can't just like if Julie's mad at Betty and Julie decides, well, you know, so we need Betty's writing that Betty actually is wanting to cancel her membership. Because this is stuff we have to. Oh, we got some pranksters in the back of the room. But yeah, send in that paperwork because I will send it back to you if I don't have their saying, yeah, cancel my membership. The member has been marked deceased in error. Please correct. You can actually do that. We have actually in ALA-MIS, we can bring people back. So if somebody gets marked as deceased, do not freak out. Don't let them freak out. It is fixable. Okay. Most things are fixable in ALA-MIS. It's just the process of getting in there and fixing, which is what I'm tasked with doing. And also enforcing all of those things that ALA-MIS does. Next up, the member has requested that we do not send them any mail to their home. Some people don't like to get mail. sent to their house. My parents are at that age where they're like, please stop sending me things that I have to throw away or that my kids are gonna have to deal with when I'm gone. So they don't like mail to the house. This is another thing you can do there. Again, you'll see at the bottom. Print name of person submitting form. A lot of people think that only needed to be filled out in this third section. It does not. It needs to be filled out if you're doing anything. So print the name of the person submitting the form, their signature, and their phone number. So if you're the one submitting the form for your unit and you don't sign and signature and date, or I'm sorry, an email, it will go back to you. All right, that is member data.